Shabbat shalom, everyone. Can you hear me? It's frustrating when people are better than you at things. And especially frustrating when they're better than you at your own profession. Now, I'm not going to, like, Erin standing here, Viola standing here, is not yet a rabbi. So I have a few years on them yet. But they're much more talented as a rabbinical student than I ever was. And I find that an unacceptable state of affairs. Really what you want is to be slightly better, so you can have a little noblesse oblige, but that's been removed from me. Erin and I have an amazing origin story, which I can share with you afterwards. But Erin and their partner Jane are a really important part of our family system and deeply tied to our kids. Erin was a board member of the last synagogue that I worked at, and then went off in the middle of it, left me to go to RRC, where they are a second-year student. And I remember the first time that Erin gave a Devar Torah, and I thought to myself, I'm really in trouble. So I bring to you the wisdom of Erin Viola.
Thank you. Well, now I'm embarrassed. Shabbat shalom. It is such an honor to be here with you all. Can you hear me now? Okay. Shabbat shalom, everyone. I'm really excited to share some words of Torah, and I'll be staying for lunch, for Kiddush, after, so I would love to hear your thoughts and hopefully make a chidush on my words, so please don't be shy. I really love any parsha having to do with the Mishkan, because in order to build a dwelling place for the divine, you need Kol Adat Yisrael. You need the entire assembly of the people Israel, and this parsha is one of my favorites. It's a long list of instructions, and yet at its heart, it's a communal project, and we need each of us. And I think that's very instructive for this week, for me especially. Our reading this week opens with Bnei Yisrael assembling at Moshe's invitation to gather. Kol Adat Bnei Yisrael, the entire assembly of the children of Israel. He begins by reminding the assembly about the commandment to rest on Shabbat and to abstain from labor. Secondly, he reminds the assembly to bring gifts to God and to make the Mishkan, this portable dwelling place for the divine presence. Moshe instructs Bnei Yisrael regarding the very precious, special mitzvah of constructing the Mishkan, but first must remind them of our duty to keep and honor Shabbat. Even the most precious mitzvah of building the Mishkan is superseded by the sanctity of Shabbat. Moshe instructs the Israelites to take from among you gifts to God. Everyone whose heart is so moved shall bring them. Gifts for God, gold, silver, copper, and the list goes on. The word lev, heart, shows up quite frequently throughout Parshat V'yakel, almost always with some kind of qualifier. Here, Moshe instructs Adat Yisrael to bring gifts to God, those who are nediv lev, which GPS translates as heart is so moved, but nediv comes from the root nun dalid vet, meaning inclined or generous. Rashi explains further, offering that because one's heart prompts us to generosity, one is called nediv lev, one who is prompted to generosity by the heart. Importantly, the gifts must come from among you, from the people's own personal possessions. The commandment is specific to each person, both prompted by the generosity of our own hearts and to bring a gift from our own personal possession. Each person is not only welcome, but required to bring their own unique gifts to the communal project of honoring the divine. After instructing to bring gifts unto God, Moshe says, "And let all among you who are skilled come and make all that God has commanded." Here, v'chol chacham lev is translated as skilled, although it literally means wisdom of heart, all who are wise of heart. A phrase that treats the heart as the source of both technical expertise and of wisdom more generally. While the gifts unto God must come from the generous of heart, the construction of the Mishkan and all of its intricate furnishings must come from the wise of heart. Wisdom and generosity are both critical. The Mishkan is a blueprint for devotional space, a blueprint given to us by Hashem, but the gifts unto God and the artistry in its construction are reflections of the stirrings of our own hearts. Among the intricate furnishings of the Mishkan constructed by the wise of heart are the tabernacle itself, the ark, its poles, the cover, the curtain for the screen, tables, lamps, multiple altars for different sacrifices, and a wash basin. The wash basin was to be used by the priests in preparation to enter the Mishkan, who would wash their hands to ritually cleanse themselves in order to conduct ritual sacrifice. This wash basin would sit right at the entrance of the tent of meeting, before the screens separating sanctity from the mundane. In the cartography of the Mishkan, as you enter deeper into the tabernacle, there are ascending levels of holiness. First, there's the sort of inner camp. Then there's the Mishkan itself, inside which there's a holy place with an incense altar and a showbread table, and then concealed by 2 layers of veils is the Holy of Holies, the innermost sanctum. So the wash basin is located right outside of the Mishkan itself and the sort of transitional inner camp, a liminal space between the chaos of the Israelite camps and worldly matters and approaching the sanctity of the Mishkan. Bezalel, the man appointed by God to oversee all the artisans and craftspeople, made the wash basin of copper and its stand of copper from the mirrors of the women who performed tasks at the entrance of the tent of meeting. The wash basin that the priests used to facilitate their transition into sacred space and offering sacred ritual is made from the copper mirrors of the Israelite women. Midrash teaches us the origin story of the women's mirrors. In the Midrash, Moses sees these gifts as abominable. They represent vanity. How could they be used to facilitate sacred space? However, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy Blessed One, corrects Moses, saying that it was these very mirrors that raised them up when they were in Egypt. Even in bondage in Egypt, the Israelite women held fast to the image of who they are. When they were faced with crushing labor, with cruelty and oppression, their mirrors represented a refusal of self-effacement. They resisted by holding on to core aspects of who they are. They refused to lose their sense of self in the face of utter oppression. In times such as these, when we are faced with a world that is constantly changing, when many of us are facing increased oppression, it is very easy to lose our sense of self. To resist self-effacement is to reflect on these most essential parts of ourselves, to not lose sight of our core values, to hold fast to our sense of self, and to catalyze these values into vessels, facilitating a transition to increased holiness. The wash basin is the first of the holy vessels the high priest would use when he left the mundanity of the world and entered sacred space. Holding purifying water, it facilitates entry into sanctity itself. The wash basin is not a veil separating holy from mundane. Rather, it is a portal. It is a bridge, facilitating the easeful movement between secular and sacred. It is connective, not separative. Our sages teach that the highest degree of kedusha, or holiness, is not that which is sacred by essence, such as the priestly garments, which we also receive instruction in this week's parsha, but when the physical or mundane are elevated, transformed into the sacred or spiritual. The Israelite women not only kept their mirrors with them through their servitude, but they carried them with them on their perilous journey out from Egypt, across the sea, and to this moment of wandering in the Midbar. But even still, they offered up these precious mirrors in service of the communal project of creating sacred space in their wilderness. This is the highest form of Kedusha. They transformed their symbols of resistance into portals, into sanctity. For our Israelite ancestors, the construction of the Mishkan was a communal project, beautified by the unique gifts, skills, and wisdom each individual contributed. This week's Parsha teaches us that while Bnei Yisrael is instructed to build the Mishkan, the action and artistry of building the Mishkan is undertaken by what emerges only from the depths of the human heart. How can we bring our wisdom of heart and our generosity of heart to the demands of the week, to communally co-create a world with more sanctity and more holiness? like our ancient Israelite women ancestors in their mirrors, by holding fast to our core values. May each of us, guided by our inner knowing, bring our own unique gifts to our efforts for the communal good. And may each of us be sustained by this Shabbat, our own palace in time, facilitating our transition into deeper peace. Shabbat Shalom.